It's no accident that you found yourself here. Something deep within you, something quiet yet powerful, has been nudging you, gently pushing you to search for answers, to make sense of what you've been feeling, what you've been going through. And if you stay with me until the very end of this video, I promise, things will start to click. The fog will lift. What once felt confusing will begin to feel clear. You are someone with a good heart. You care, you help. You're always there when people need you. You try to do the right thing, to be kind, supportive, and understanding. But then, why does it sometimes feel like the world doesn't see your worth? Why do some people treat you as if your kindness is something to be dismissed, or worse, taken advantage of? You give respect, but it's not always returned. You show up with love, but sometimes you're met with coldness. You think that being good should lead to deeper connections, recognition, appreciation. Instead, you often end up feeling invisible, overlooked, used, even disrespected. No, it's not bad luck. It's not that the world is cruel for no reason. There's a real psychological pattern at play here. Carl Jung called it the shadow, the hidden parts of the human mind that come out in the most surprising and often painful ways. And one of those ways is how some people react with subtle contempt when they sense someone who doesn't set firm boundaries. Today, you'll discover 5 powerful reasons why your kindness may be costing you the respect of others. And more importantly, you'll learn how to protect yourself without ever having to stop being the loving, generous soul that you are. Now, let's begin. The kinder you are, the more shallow the world can seem. You try to live with grace, you listen with empathy, you give your time, your attention, your heart, but still, there always seems to be someone who doesn't see it, someone who brushes you off, someone who takes but never gives back. You were taught that kindness is the right way, that goodness will lead to good things. So, why does it sometimes feel like it only makes people value you less? The truth is hard but simple. Not everyone sees kindness as a virtue. Some see it as an opportunity. Let's break it down. Here are the 5 key reasons your kindness might be backfiring, and how to take your power back. Reason number 1. Unlimited kindness is seen as weakness. Human beings are wired to test limits. If you're always available, if you never say no, if you put everyone else's needs before your own without ever pausing to ask what you need, some people won't admire you for it. They'll start to believe they can do whatever they want. This is called the benevolence exploitation effect in psychology. The idea is simple. When you don't set emotional boundaries, people assume they don't need to respect them. In workplaces, friendships, even families, those who clearly define their limits are often the ones who receive the most respect. But if you're always saying yes, people stop noticing how much you give. They get used to it, and slowly, your presence becomes something they take for granted. Not necessarily because they're cruel, but because your constant giving lowers their sense of your value. So what's the solution? Don't stop being kind, just start pairing your kindness with clarity. Say what's okay and what isn't. Know your limits and don't be afraid to communicate them. Carl Jung once said, "No one becomes enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious." The darkness he spoke of, the shadow, isn't just made of anger or fear. It's also your hidden strength, your voice, your power to say no. When you let your kindness exist without boundaries, you not only open the door for others to misuse it, you also silence the more assertive, wise part of you. The part that knows how to stand firm. If you don't learn to protect your energy, people may stop seeing you as a strong individual and start seeing you as someone they can simply use. Reason number 2. Your kindness triggers other people's insecurities. This may sound strange, but it's true. Some people can't handle your kindness. They're not ready for it. They don't trust it. They've been hurt, misled, or betrayed before. So when you show up with open-hearted sincerity, it makes them uncomfortable. Why? Because your kindness acts like a mirror. It reflects back the parts of themselves they've forgotten or rejected. When you give without expecting anything in return, it shines a light on those who only know how to take. Your sincerity exposes their cynicism. Your warmth reminds them of the cold walls they've built around their hearts. To protect themselves, they might push you away, or question your motives, or treat you with indifference, or even contempt. But know this: their reaction isn't really about you. It's about the battles they're still fighting within. Carl Jung believed that the shadow holds everything we refuse to face about ourselves. So when your kindness touches someone who has buried their ability to trust, the result is often an unconscious rejection. Your generosity feels threatening because it challenges their belief that people can't be trusted. It makes them question their worldview, and for some, that's terrifying. So instead of opening up, they shut down. They project their mistrust onto you, but don't take it personally. It's not a flaw in your character. It's a reflection of their unresolved pain. In today's fast-paced world, where relationships are often built on convenience and conditions, your pure, no-strings-attached kindness can come as a shock. When people encounter someone who gives freely, without expecting anything in return, it rattles their foundation. Their internal value system, built on expectations, transactions, and what's in it for me, starts to feel outdated. Some will see your kindness and think, this person must be naive. Others may feel threatened, because your very presence proves there's another way to live. One not ruled by manipulation or self-interest. You unknowingly challenge their reality, and that's not something everyone is ready for. So what happens? They react, sometimes with sarcasm, sometimes by shutting you out, or treating you as if you don't belong. But here's the truth: when someone rejects your kindness, it's not because you're wrong. It's because they're not ready to accept what you offer. And in most cases, it's not you who needs to change. It's they who need to evolve. True maturity comes when someone realizes that kindness is not a weakness. It's a conscious, powerful choice. Carl Jung once said, "What you resist persists." And this applies to social dynamics as well. When you decide to show up in your truth, in a world that rewards masks and ego-driven behavior, you become a disruption. A mirror, a light that exposes the shadows others have worked hard to hide. Your kindness, instead of being welcomed, may spark discomfort, even hostility. Not because it's wrong, but because it shines too brightly on parts of them they're not ready to face. Now, before we move on to the final 2 reasons, I want to take a moment to say thank you for being here. If you're finding value in this video, consider sharing it with someone who needs this message. And if you'd like to support our channel, you can click the thank you button below. Your support means more than words can say. All right, let's keep going. Reason number 4. Your generosity becomes an invitation to self-sacrifice. When you're someone who gives freely, without keeping score, a strange thing can happen. You slowly begin to be assigned a role you never asked for. The role of the one who's always available, always listening, always giving. Over time, people start to believe you don't need anything at all. They stop asking, they stop noticing. Your needs slowly fade into the background, as if your energy is infinite and your time limitless. But you are human, not a superhero. And even the kindest hearts need care too. This is how a dangerous cycle begins. The more you give, the more people forget that you might need something in return. You become a constant source of support, while no one supports you, and not out of cruelty, but because your kindness has become an assumption, not a choice. That's why setting boundaries isn't about being mean. It's about protecting your emotional well-being. Saying, "I can't right now," or "I need some space," isn't selfish, it's self-respect. Carl Jung once said, "If someone wants to see the good in you, they will. If they want to see the bad, they will." It depends more on them than on you. But here's the twist. When you keep giving without ever expressing your own needs, you silently teach others that you don't have any. And that's the shadow side of generosity, the risk of becoming invisible, of existing only in terms of what you can give. But true altruism means giving with awareness, without losing yourself in the process. Reason number 5. When you're always available, your kindness loses its impact. Think about this for a moment. Anything that's always within reach eventually becomes overlooked. We stop seeing its value, not because it's not valuable, but because we've grown used to it. This is just as true for people. If others know that you'll always be there, always say yes, always help, they may stop appreciating what that truly means. They may start to see your kindness as a constant, not a conscious offering. And slowly, your generosity loses its weight. It's no longer a gift, it's just expected. But your kindness has a cost, an emotional cost. Every time you offer support, you give a piece of your energy. And if you never replenish it, if you never pause to care for yourself, that well will run dry. Carl Jung emphasized the need for balance between light and shadow, between giving and resting, between showing up for others and showing up for yourself. If you give endlessly without protecting your own boundaries, your kindness can begin to hurt you. You may feel drained, invisible, resentful. That's why the solution isn't to give less, it's to give consciously. Offer your support because you choose to, not because you feel obligated. Know when to say yes and when to say not right now. This doesn't make you selfish, it makes you wise. Remember, the real power of kindness lies in its intentional use, not in offering it endlessly without return. When you honor your own needs, you don't become less kind, you become more powerful, more respected, and most importantly, more whole. And now I ask you, have you ever felt taken for granted because of your kindness? Have you found a way to draw healthy boundaries without losing the loving essence of who you are? We'd love to hear your experience. Share it in the comments below. And until next time, take care of your light. It's more precious than you know.